If you find somebody that don't want to settle down, they want to have some fun, you open to that with somebody else.
I am single, so I'm allowed to do whatever.
I don't want Sophie to play game with me. I'm not interested in that.
Miss?
No. Hell no. Not with me.
Do you think we have sex more than we do?
Oh my God. Like, ew, why are you thinking that? But he thinks more than what we're doing, so. It's like blowing up a balloon. It's like, it's getting there, and then it's like.
Colt's phone lights up in the middle of the night. And it's not Courtney texting. It's not even a friend. It's another woman. And he's been talking to her for weeks. Meanwhile, across the world, Sophie looks Pedro dead in the eye and says, "I owe you nothing." In that instant, every rule of love, loyalty, and expectation gets thrown out the window. Welcome to Reality Sport. I'm Oliva. And if you think you've seen drama before, you haven't seen anything yet. Hit that subscribe button and drop your wildest theory in the comments, because tonight we're pulling back the curtain on the messiest, most unpredictable couples on TV. Let's start with the shock that's got everyone talking. Colt, who's supposed to be recovering and rebuilding his life with Courtney, is hiding a secret that could blow up everything. He's not just texting another woman, he's keeping it from Courtney while she's literally helping him get dressed, feeding him, and even wiping his tears, and sometimes more than that. The trust Courtney thought she had is hanging by a thread, and every time Colt's phone buzzes, you can see her flinch. Is it a nurse? Is it a friend? Or is it someone who could destroy what little is left of their relationship? On the other side, Pedro is sitting across from Sophie, thinking he's finally found someone who gets him, someone who might be ready to build a future. He spent months sending gifts, writing love letters, and planning a life together. But Sophie, fresh out of a marriage and still nursing her own wounds, isn't playing by the old rules. She's not promising anything. She's not pretending. She tells Pedro straight up that she's single, she's not exclusive, and she doesn't owe him a thing. Not loyalty, not explanations, not even a text back. The look on Pedro's face says it all. He thought he was buying a ticket to forever, but Sophie's not even selling a day pass. So here we are, with two couples standing on the edge of disaster. Courtney is pouring her heart and energy into Colt, hoping that love and patience will be enough to heal him and maybe, just maybe, build something real. But every time she looks at him, she wonders if she's being played, if she's just a convenient nurse with a spare bed and a forgiving heart. Colt, for his part, is saying all the right things, but his actions are telling a different story. He's got one foot in the relationship and one foot out the door, and the only thing more confusing than his feelings is his browser history. Meanwhile, Pedro is learning the hard way that love isn't a transaction. You can't buy someone's heart with gifts, no matter how expensive, and you can't force someone to be ready for a relationship just because you are. Sophie is honest, maybe brutally so, but she's not leading him on. She's telling him exactly where she stands, and if he's not listening, that's on him. Still, the pain in his eyes is real, and you can feel the tension building with every awkward silence and every unanswered question. What's wild is how quickly everything can change. One message, one confession, one moment of honesty or betrayal, and the whole house of cards comes crashing down. Are these couples doomed from the start, or is there a chance for redemption? Is Colt really cheating, or is he just scared to let go of his old life? Is Sophie protecting her heart, or is she running from something she can't face? And most of all, what secrets are still hiding in the shadows, waiting to explode? Courtney never imagined her love life would look like this. She thought moving Colt in would mean late-night talks, inside jokes, maybe even a little adventure. Instead, her days start with the sound of Colt calling her name, needing help to get out of bed, needing help to shower, needing help with things most couples don't even talk about. The line between girlfriend and caregiver blurs so fast, it's hard to remember where one ends and the other begins. At first, she told herself it was temporary, that Colt's accident was a freak twist of fate, and she was just being supportive. But weeks have passed, and the routine has only gotten heavier. Every morning, she's folding his clothes, making his breakfast, and checking his meds, while Colt scrolls through his phone, barely looking up. The romance that once felt new and exciting now feels like a distant memory. There are no more flirty texts, no more spontaneous kisses, just a checklist of chores and a growing sense of resentment. Courtney tries to keep her spirits up, telling herself that love means sacrifice, but every time she wipes down the kitchen counter or picks up after Colt, she wonders if she's lost herself in the process. She's exhausted, physically and emotionally, and it shows in the way she moves, the way she sighs when Colt asks for something else, the way she stares at the ceiling late at night, wondering how she got here. Colt, on the other hand, seems almost comfortable in this new arrangement. He jokes about being spoiled, but there's a look in his eyes that says he knows he's pushing the limits. He's quick to thank Courtney, but just as quick to ask for more. Sometimes he'll flash that familiar smile, the one that used to make her heart skip, but now it feels like a distraction, a way to smooth over the growing cracks in their relationship. The intimacy they once shared has faded into the background, replaced by awkward silences and forced small talk. Courtney misses the way Colt used to look at her, the way he used to reach for her hand, but now, every touch feels clinical. Every hug feels like a transaction. Friends start to notice the change. They ask Courtney if she's okay, if she needs a break, if she's sure this is what she wants. She brushes them off, insisting that Colt needs her, that things will get better once he's back on his feet. But deep down, she's not so sure. The weight of responsibility is crushing, and the fear that she's being taken for granted grows with every passing day. Is Colt really as helpless as he seems, or is he leaning into the role because it's easier than facing the reality of their relationship? Is he grateful, or is he just comfortable? Courtney tries to talk to Colt about how she's feeling, but the conversation always circles back to his needs, his pain, his recovery. She wants to believe he cares, that he sees her struggle, but the words never quite land. Instead, Colt changes the subject, cracks a joke, or scrolls through his phone, leaving Courtney feeling more alone than ever. The spark that brought them together is flickering, and Courtney is left wondering if it's worth fighting for, or if she's just fighting a losing battle. What Courtney doesn't know is that Colt is hiding something that could change everything. While she's busy taking care of him, he's keeping a secret that could shatter what little trust remains between them. The question is, will Courtney find out before it's too late, or will she keep giving until there's nothing left to give? The answer is closer than she thinks, and the fallout could be bigger than anyone expects. Courtney's gut tells her something's off, and it's getting harder to ignore. Colt's phone is always face down, his notifications silenced, and when she walks into the room, he's quick to lock the screen or change the subject. She tries to convince herself it's nothing, that she's overthinking, but the little things start to add up. He's laughing at messages she never sees, stepping outside to take calls, and when she asks who he's talking to, his answers are vague, or he shrugs it off with a joke. The trust that once felt solid now feels like thin ice, and every day, Courtney wonders if she's about to fall through. It doesn't help that social media is buzzing with rumors. Old exes pop up in her DMs, warning her to be careful, sharing stories about Colt's wandering eye and his habit of keeping secrets. Screenshots float around, and while some look fake, others hit a little too close to home. Courtney scrolls through the comments, her heart pounding, trying to separate fact from fiction. She wants to believe Colt is different now, that he's learned from his past, but the doubt creeps in every time she sees his name linked to another woman. The shadow of his old relationships hangs over them, and it's starting to feel like she's fighting a battle she can't win. Inside, Courtney is torn. She's always prided herself on being loyal, on standing by the people she loves, even when things get tough. But lately, she started to wonder if loyalty is just another word for losing herself. She's given so much to Colt, her time, her energy, her trust, and now she's not sure what's left for her. Every time she thinks about confronting him, she hesitates, afraid of what she might find. What if the rumors are true? What if she's been pouring her heart into someone who doesn't deserve it? The fear of being alone is real, but so is the fear of being lied to. Colt senses the tension, but instead of opening up, he pulls further away. He's quick to reassure Courtney when she asks, but his words feel empty, rehearsed. He promises there's nothing going on, that she's the only one he cares about, but his actions don't match his promises. The more she pushes, the more he retreats, and the distance between them grows. Courtney starts to question everything, every late-night text, every unexplained absence, every time Colt seems distracted or distant. She wants to trust him, but trust without honesty is a losing game. The pressure builds until it's almost unbearable. Courtney knows she can't keep living like this, caught between hope and suspicion, loyalty and self-respect. She starts to imagine what would happen if she confronted Colt, if she demanded the truth and refused to settle for anything less. Would he finally come clean? Or would he double down on the lies? Would she walk away? Or would she forgive him one more time? The answers aren't clear, but the need for resolution grows stronger every day. Something is about to give, and when it does, nothing will ever be the same. The confrontation that's been simmering beneath the surface is about to explode, and the fallout could change everything for Courtney and Colt. The truth is closer than ever, and once it comes out, there's no going back. Courtney's worst fears aren't just in her head. While she's folding laundry and making sure Colt has everything he needs, his phone is lighting up with messages from Diana, a woman he met long before his accident. The conversations aren't innocent. They're flirty, familiar, and full of inside jokes that Courtney's never heard. Colt tells himself it's harmless, that he's only talking to Diana because she understands him in a way Courtney doesn't right now. He says he needs the distraction, the escape from the pressure of recovery and the awkwardness that's crept into his relationship. But every message he sends is another crack in the foundation he and Courtney built together. Colt's rationalizations come easy. He tells himself he's not cheating, not really, because nothing physical has happened. He says he's just keeping his options open, that he deserves to feel wanted, especially when things with Courtney are so tense. But deep down, he knows he's crossing a line. He hides his phone, deletes messages, and lies about who he's talking to, all while Courtney is bending over backward to take care of him. The guilt gnaws at him, but not enough to make him stop. He's addicted to the attention, the thrill of the secret, the feeling of being desired by someone new. For Courtney, the truth lands like a punch to the gut. She stumbles across a message she wasn't supposed to see, and in that moment, everything clicks. The late-night texts, the sudden need for privacy, the way Colt's mood lifts when his phone buzzes, it all makes sense now. Her heart breaks, not just because Colt betrayed her, but because she let herself believe he was different. She gave him everything, and he gave his attention to someone else. The pain is sharp, raw, and impossible to hide. Why do people risk everything for a secret connection? Sometimes it's about ego, the need to feel wanted when life gets hard. Sometimes it's about fear, the urge to run from problems instead of facing them. For Colt, it's a mix of both. He's scared of being vulnerable, scared of needing Courtney as much as he does, so he looks for validation somewhere else. But every secret comes with a price, and Colt is about to find out how high that price can be. Courtney stands at a crossroads. She can confront Colt and demand the truth, or she can walk away and save what's left of her dignity. The choice isn't easy, and the stakes have never been higher. Will Colt finally confess, or will Courtney catch him in another lie? The tension is thick, and the next move could change everything. What neither of them knows is that the biggest twist is still to come. The fallout from Colt's secret connection will ripple through their lives in ways they never expected, and the next act will reveal a side of the story that no one saw coming. Pedro thinks he's doing everything right. He's flown Sophie out, showered her with flowers, and dropped more money on gifts than most people spend in a year. Every week, there's something new. A designer bag, a bouquet, a handwritten letter that tries to say what he can't quite put into words. He believes these gestures will win Sophie over, that if he gives enough, she'll finally see how serious he is. But every time he hands her another present, Sophie's smile gets a little tighter, her thank you a little more forced. The gifts are piling up, but so is the pressure. For Sophie, the attention is overwhelming. She's barely signed her divorce papers, still waking up some mornings wondering who she is without her old life. The last thing she wants is to jump into another relationship, especially one that feels like it's moving at warp speed. Pedro's generosity isn't lost on her, but it comes with strings she never asked for. Every gift feels like a silent contract, a reminder that Pedro expects something in return: her time, her affection, maybe even her commitment. The more he gives, the more trapped she feels, and the harder it is to breathe. There's an emotional cost to all this giving and receiving. Pedro's intentions might be good, but his actions send a different message. He's not just showing love, he's trying to buy it, to fill the space between them with things instead of trust. Sophie feels the weight of his expectations every time she opens a box or reads a note. She wants to be grateful, but she can't shake the feeling that she's being boxed in, that her freedom is slipping away with every new surprise. She's not ready to belong to anyone, not after everything she's been through, and the thought of being tied down again makes her want to run. Pedro, for his part, is confused. He doesn't understand why Sophie isn't responding the way he hoped. He's used to grand gestures working, to women being swept off their feet. But Sophie isn't playing along. She's polite, even affectionate at times, but she keeps her distance. She tells him she needs space, that she's not ready for anything serious, but Pedro hears what he wants to hear. He thinks if he tries harder, gives more, she'll eventually come around. The disconnect grows with every misunderstanding, every unspoken expectation. Is Pedro trying to buy love, or is Sophie leading him on? The answer isn't simple. Sophie never asked for the gifts, never promised anything in return, but she also hasn't walked away. She's caught between gratitude and guilt, wanting to be honest but afraid of hurting Pedro more than she already has. Pedro, meanwhile, is caught in his own loop, convinced that love is something you earn, not something that grows on its own. Both are stuck, unable to move forward but unwilling to let go. Pedro can't hold it in any longer. The gifts, the attention, the hope he's been building up, it all comes crashing down when he finally asks Sophie the question that's been burning in his mind. He wants to know if she's seeing anyone else, if she's ready to be exclusive, if all his efforts have meant anything. The words hang in the air, heavy and loaded, and for a moment, Sophie just looks at him, her expression unreadable. Then she says it, clear as day, no hesitation: I owe you nothing. The room goes silent. Pedro's face falls, and you can almost hear the collective gasp from everyone watching. He's stunned. He thought he was making progress, that every gift and every late-night conversation was bringing them closer. Instead, he's hit with the reality that Sophie isn't playing by his rules. She's not ready to commit, not interested in being claimed, and she's not afraid to say it out loud. For Pedro, it's a slap in the face. He's poured his heart and his wallet into this connection, and now he's left wondering if he ever had a chance at all. The shock is real, and it cuts deep. Viewers are split. Some see Sophie as cold, maybe even ungrateful, while others see her as brave, refusing to be pressured into something she doesn't want. The debate lights up social media. Is Sophie leading Pedro on, or is she setting healthy boundaries? Is Pedro being romantic, or is he trying to buy her affection? The clash of cultures and expectations is impossible to ignore. Pedro comes from a world where grand gestures mean love, where commitment is the goal, and where effort should be rewarded. Sophie, on the other hand, is fighting for her independence, her right to heal, and her right to say no. Timing is everything, and theirs couldn't be worse. Pedro's ready to settle down, to build a future, but Sophie is still picking up the pieces of her past. She's honest about where she stands, but honesty doesn't make the truth any easier to swallow. The tension between them is thick, and neither one is willing to back down. Pedro wants answers, wants reassurance, But Sophie won't give him what he wants. Not now, maybe not ever. The question now is whether Pedro will walk away or double down. Will he accept Sophie's boundaries and let her go? Or will he try even harder to win her over? The answer isn't clear, but one thing is certain, this confrontation has changed everything. The power dynamic has shifted, and Pedro is left reeling, unsure of his next move. What no one sees coming is the shift in Pedro's attitude that's about to unfold. The next chapter in their story will turn expectations upside down, and the fallout will leave both of them questioning what they really want and what they're willing to risk to get it. Courtney can't keep pretending. The weight of Colt's betrayal presses down on her until she finally snaps, her voice trembling as she demands the truth. Colt tries to dodge, tries to charm his way out of it, but Courtney's done playing nurse to a man who won't even give her honesty. The words spill out, accusations, confessions, all the pain she's been swallowing for weeks. Colt's face crumples as he realizes he's lost control, and for the first time, he looks scared. Courtney's tears aren't just about him. They're about every time she put someone else's needs before her own. Every time she thought love meant sacrificing her happiness. The room feels colder, smaller. As the reality sets in, trust is gone, and there's no easy way back. Across town, Sophie and Pedro sit in silence, the air thick with everything they haven't said. Pedro's frustration boils over, his voice rising as he asks why his love isn't enough, why Sophie keeps him at arm's length. Sophie's eyes fill with tears, but she doesn't back down. She tells him she's tired of being someone's project, tired of feeling like she owes anyone her heart just because they tried hard enough. The honesty is brutal, but it's the only way forward. Pedro's anger gives way to hurt, and for a moment he looks lost, like a man who's realized he's been chasing a dream that was never his to catch. Both couples are left staring at the wreckage of their expectations. Courtney wonders if she's wasted her time, if she should have seen the signs sooner. She wants to believe Colt can change, but the trust is broken, and she's not sure she has the strength to rebuild. Colt, for all his excuses, finally sees the damage he's done, but apologies feel empty now. Sophie, meanwhile, feels a strange sense of relief. She's sad for Pedro, but she's proud of herself for speaking her truth, for refusing to settle for a relationship that doesn't fit. Pedro is left with nothing but questions, his confidence shaken, his plans for the future slipping through his fingers. The cost of mismatched expectations is written on every face. Love isn't always enough, not when honesty and timing are missing. Courtney and Sophie both stand at a crossroads. Do they choose self-respect and walk away, or do they cling to hope and try to fix what's broken? The answer isn't clear, and the stakes have never been higher. What neither couple knows is that the story isn't over yet. A final twist is waiting in the wings, one that will force everyone to confront the truth about themselves and each other. The next move will change everything, and no one is ready for what comes next. Courtney stands in the hallway, her hands shaking, the silence between her and Colt louder than any argument. The truth is out now. No more secrets, no more pretending. She's seen the messages, heard the excuses, and felt the sting of betrayal deep in her chest. Colt tries to explain, his voice desperate, but every word sounds hollow. He says he was lonely, that he needed someone to talk to, that he never meant to hurt her. But Courtney's heard enough. She remembers every night she stayed up late to help him, every morning she put his needs before her own, every time she told herself things would get better if she just tried harder. Now, all she feels is empty. She looks at Colt, really looks at him, and sees not the man she fell for, but someone who took her kindness for granted. The decision she faces isn't easy. Part of her wants to believe in second chances, to hope that love can survive even this. But another part, the part that's been ignored for too long, knows she deserves more. She deserves honesty, respect, and a partner who values her for who she is, not just what she can do for him. The weight of that realization is both crushing and freeing. For the first time in months, Courtney feels like she can breathe. Colt senses the shift. He tries to reach for her, but she steps back. The distance between them is more than physical now. It's the space created by every lie, every secret, every moment he chose someone else over her. He wants to fix things, to go back to the way things were. But deep down, he knows it's too late. The consequences of his actions are finally catching up to him. He's lost Courtney's trust, and with it, the future he thought he could have. The look in her eyes tells him everything. She's done being his caretaker, done sacrificing her happiness for his comfort. Meanwhile, Pedro sits alone, replaying his last conversation with Sophie over and over in his mind. He thought he was building something real, that his efforts would be enough to win her heart. But now, in the quiet aftermath, he's forced to confront a painful truth. Maybe he was never really in a relationship at all. Maybe he was in love with an idea, a fantasy he created out of hope and longing. The gifts, the gestures, the plans for the future, they were all one-sided, built on assumptions and unspoken expectations. Sophie never promised him anything, never pretended to be someone she wasn't. She was honest from the start. But Pedro only heard what he wanted to hear. The realization stings. Pedro feels foolish, embarrassed by how hard he tried to force something that was never meant to be. He wonders if he missed the signs, if he ignored Sophie's boundaries because he was so desperate to be loved. The questions swirl in his mind, each one heavier than the last. Was he ever really with Sophie? Or was he just chasing a dream? The answer is painful, but it's also a chance to grow. For the first time, Pedro sees the importance of listening, of respecting someone else's journey, even when it doesn't match his own. Sophie, on the other hand, feels lighter than she has in months. The confrontation with Pedro was hard, but it was also necessary. She spent so much of her life trying to meet other people's expectations, trying to be the person they wanted her to be. Now, she's finally putting herself first. The freedom is exhilarating, but it's also scary. She doesn't know what comes next, but for the first time, she's okay with not having all the answers. She's learned that it's better to be alone and true to herself than to lose her identity in someone else's story. Colt, left alone in the aftermath of Courtney's decision, is forced to face the consequences of his actions. The messages, the lies, the way he leaned on Courtney without ever giving back, it all comes crashing down. He realizes too late that he took her for granted, that he mistook her love for unconditional forgiveness. The pain of losing her is sharp, but it's also a wake-up call. Colt has to decide if he's willing to change, to do the hard work of becoming someone worthy of trust. The road ahead won't be easy, but for the first time, he understands what's at stake. Courtney's choice is clear. She packs her things, her movements steady and sure. There are tears, but there's also relief. She's choosing herself, choosing to walk away from a relationship that no longer serves her. The decision isn't just about Colt, it's about reclaiming her life, her happiness, her sense of self. As she closes the door behind her, she feels a mix of sadness and hope. The future is uncertain, but it's hers to shape. Pedro, too, is left with a choice. He can wallow in regret, or he can learn from his mistakes. He can keep chasing after love, or he can take the time to heal, to figure out what he really wants. The experience with Sophie has changed him, forced him to confront his own insecurities and expectations. It's a painful lesson, but one that might just lead to something better down the road. Sophie steps into her new life with a sense of purpose. She's not running from love, but she's not rushing toward it either. She's taking things one day at a time, trusting that the right person will come along when she's ready. For now, she's content to be on her own, to explore who she is outside of a relationship. The freedom is both terrifying and exhilarating, but it's exactly what she needs. As the dust settles, the stories of these four are far from over. The choices they've made will shape their futures in ways they can't yet imagine. Courtney's strength, Colt's regret, Pedro's growth, and Sophie's independence, all of it sets the stage for what comes next. The final question hangs in the air, unanswered and electric. What happens now? Will Courtney find the love she deserves? Will Colt learn from his mistakes? Will Pedro open his heart to someone new? Will Sophie's journey lead her back to love or somewhere entirely unexpected? The answers are out there, waiting to be discovered, and the next chapter promises to be even more unpredictable than the last. When the dust finally settles, what's left isn't just heartbreak or regret, it's the hard-won clarity that comes from living through the mess. Courtney, Colt, Sophie, and Pedro each walk away changed, carrying scars, but also a new understanding of what they want and what they'll never accept again. Trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild without real honesty and effort from both sides. Courtney's journey shows how easy it is to lose yourself when you're always putting someone else first, and how powerful it can be to finally choose your own happiness, even when it hurts. Colt's mistakes are a reminder that secrets and half-truths always catch up with you, and that real love can't survive in the shadows. For Pedro and Sophie, the lesson is about communication and timing. No amount of gifts or grand gestures can replace the need for real conversations about what you want and where you stand. Sophie's refusal to be pressured into a relationship she wasn't ready for is a lesson in self-worth. And Pedro's heartbreak is a warning about the dangers of ignoring someone's boundaries because you're chasing your own dream. Sometimes, two people can care about each other and still not be right for each other. And that's not a failure, it's just life. If you're watching this and seeing pieces of your own story, you're not alone. Maybe you've been Courtney, giving until you're empty, or Colt, hiding from the truth because you're scared of what honesty might cost. Maybe you've been Pedro, trying to prove your love with actions instead of words, or Sophie, fighting to hold on to your independence when everyone else wants you to settle down. The truth is, every relationship is a risk, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away when you know it's not right. Could things have gone differently for these couples? Maybe if there had been more honesty from the start, more willingness to listen, more respect for each other's boundaries. But sometimes, the only way to learn is to live through the fallout, to make mistakes and face the consequences. What matters most is what you do next, how you pick yourself up, what you take with you, and what you leave behind. As for what's next, don't think the drama ends here. On Reality Sport, the stories never stop, and the next episode is about to bring even more twists, betrayals, and jaw-dropping moments. If you thought this was wild, wait until you see what's coming up. There's a new couple on the horizon, and their secrets might just make everything you've seen so far look tame. Stick around, because the next chapter is about to begin, and you won't want to miss a second.